Hi all, Derek here. Callans and Surrey, Callans and Clearances, and Oscar's Treasure Island. I've gone back and forth about making a video like this. I've written notes purely because I'm not good with words, and there's a lot I want to say in this video, and I don't want to sort of ramble on too much. It hasn't been easy for me to talk about this realistically, but I think it's important. It's definitely important. And 2025 was probably one of my hardest years, mentally, physically, and in business. Most people know me through Callans and Surrey auctions, Callans Clearances, and most recently Oscar's Treasure Island. From the outside, it probably looks like growth, new premises, new projects, new auctions, new avenues. But the reality behind it is very, very different. This year's tested me in ways I wasn't prepared for. I've been in business for over 15 years now. I started as a young lad, 23 years old, with a dream and an ambition to be a business owner, but not the knowledge. And I stand here in front of you now as a 38-year-old man, still fighting. The reality of 2025, why it nearly broke me, or has broken me in a sense, it's just a catalogue of errors and things that went on. With the auction business, the end of 2024 was amazing. And we had so much looking forward for 2025. And, don't get me wrong, we had some amazing sales. But at the critical point of growth, we lost a key member of staff, which really shook us up a little bit. And we was like, blimey, where do we go now? That was difficult to make sure that we had everything in place to do that. And it was at a critical time as we were accelerating with the business. The clearance business, well, where do I start with that? That's where it all started back in 2010. Never been an easy journey, but it was enjoyable. I loved it. I still do love it. But this year we found out that it was failing, financially. It costs to keep rising. There's so many new aspects with the regulations you have to think about, new ones coming in and constantly be on the ball at, and with the cost of rising that, we don't want to up our cost to our buyers, to our customers, but for us to run a business we have to pass on some costs. We found that work was harder to secure. Now obviously there's a lot more people doing it now. There's a lot more competition, we understand that, and it's about sort of diversifying and ensuring you're still a market leader and you're still keeping your finger on the pulse. And I had to cut back on a lot of aspects of the business to survive. We grew huge in sort of 2020, 2021, 2022. We started growing pretty big. We pulled away from that, but we got the baggage with that. So obviously, that's the bottom line. Cash flow is king, they say, and cash is king. It's really affected us. That cash flow has completely dwindled. That was hard hitting, and still is hard hitting. And I'm going to be honest. My mental health took a massive hit. A massive hit. I felt depression started creeping in. While I was still trying to show up every day, trying to be strong for everyone else. In October, I even sat down with an insolvency practitioner. That was hard. That wasn't something I thought I'd ever have to do. I thought if I was ever going to get out of business, it was on my own terms. But I'm not a quitter. And even though it affected my health, I knew I wasn't done. Around this sort of time, with the auctions growing, and the new sideline business of Oscar's Treasure Island that I set up for my son, Oscar, the sort of 12 months leading up to it, we applied to obviously get a new premises, which I'm in now, and I'll show you around eventually in another video. So I could be home a little bit more often. If people know us, I've got a builder's yard in Wallet and Surrey, where my guys and where everything runs. It's our hub for the auction and the clearance business. So every week I was travelling there and back, and it's what I had to do. We moved to the Isle of Wight 6-7 years ago, and it was something we knew we had to do. I knew I had to do, but it was affecting me. Being away from my loved ones was hard. Watching my little son through a video call because I'm at work. At 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I wasn't around the corner from him. It was hard, and it was scary financially as well. With businesses doing what they're doing, I thought, blimey, is this the right thing? But I believe that sometimes you don't move forward unless you change your environment. And it's pretty much why we needed this premises as well for growth. Now, through all of this leading up to the festive period, I'm trying to put on a brave face. I want to be there for my family, through the hard things. And then something happened that generally changed my mindset. A long time friend, Luke from Clearance Grafters and Fingertips of Surrey, out at random came to visit on the island. He was there with his family, and he dropped me a text and said, "Fancy meeting up on New Year's Day, of all days." I mean, of course, buddy, let's do this. Even though I just wanted to be in my own little circle because I was struggling. I thought, yeah, do you know what? I haven't seen this guy for 2 or 3 years. An award ceremony, and he's been doing great things. And I thought, yeah, do you know what? He's with his family. He's come over to the Isle of Wight. Let's do this. We briefly met for a couple of hours on New Year's Day, and I was putting on a brave face, I'm not going to lie. And he told me one of the main reasons he started his business, because I inspired him. That was one of the main reasons. And I was taken back by that. He's built an amazing clearance business, Clearance Grafters. He's got his reuse, an antique shop in Kenley, Fingertips of Surrey. You see him doing all his social media through his work on the jobs, through the markets and everything. It's fantastic, and he's blown up on social media, and hats off to that guy and his team. He's really smashed it, and he's given an insight into a world that most people don't know about. And hearing that really, really humbled me. I'd spent a long time feeling that I was failing, that I'd forgot that I actually might have inspired someone. And that moment lit a fire in me again. It reminded me that because a year nearly breaks you, it doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes you're being tested for the next chapter. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that stuck by me in 2025. The customers, the supporters and friends. But especially Emma. You really do need a strong woman behind you when you run a business. And she lifted me in so many times when I generally felt like that was it. I'm not someone to do this sort of thing, the interaction with videos. But I need to shout about my business, about me as a person. We do so much good things behind the scenes, and now it's time to shout about it. This is a video, it's not pretending that everything is perfect. It's about being honest. And 2026 feels a bit different. It really does. I feel like I'm on a new path, and I want to start sharing more of the real journey, more of the journey of Cullen's Clearances, Cullen's of Surrey, Oscar's Treasure Island, and Derek Hunt. and the struggles that come along with that. So I just want to say, if you are still watching, thank you, first off and foremost. There's definitely more to come. Thank you again.